In this episode of Real Talk, we look at the specifics of Dorian Yates' high-intensity program. Is this specific template a model that drug-free athletes can follow? And if not, what are some modifications that could make this routine a little more practical? I want to start off by saying I'm a big fan of Dorian. He brought a calculated approach to training, writing his numbers down, seeking progression, being meticulous with all aspects of his training. Dorian was a true professional, and he was rewarded big time for these efforts on the Olympia stage. He also brought Mike Mentzer's concepts to the spotlight, further validating high-intensity training. In my opinion, without Dorian, high-intensity training would not be as popular as it is today. I give Dorian a lot of credit for changing my approach to training. A long time ago, I was a huge Arnold fan, doing 2 hours a day, 6 days a week training for years. I was a kinesiology student who calculated everything from numbers to nutrition, adequate sleep. I did not see the return on investment for the amount of time I was putting in though. Back in the 90s, we had an audio tape of Mike Mentzer saying less was more, and that was brought to the forefront because Dorian adopted high-intensity training. I needed Dorian to validate Mentzer. I actually wrote a letter to Temple Gym saying, "Is Mentzer for real?" The dude actually responded with a handwritten letter saying, "Absolutely." I was a fucking nobody kid, and Dorian wrote a return to me. Total class act. Now let's dive into each of these workouts. Workout 1, total of 18 sets. That's a lot. There were a lot of warm-up sets, and some of these warm-up sets were actually pretty intense. Dorian talks about 1 set to failure, and I note that's per exercise. He had at least 4 sets to failure for his shoulders. On top of that, with the forced reps, this was through the roof training. Obviously, Dorian was on PEDs and he had all day to recover. Naturals who have a job don't have this luxury nor the capacity to recover properly from this brutal onslaught. A natural athlete could cut down on the amount of warm-up sets and probably take out the cable laterals, for example. This would bring down the sets down to about 10 to 11 sets max. I also think the intensity would have to be scaled down dramatically. As for workout 2, done the next day, back training, 15 sets total. After the initial warm-up sets and with very controlled movement for all the exercises, you could probably eliminate a lot of the warm-up sets, bringing your total volume down to about 10 sets. I really like the pullover machine as a way to pre-exhaust the lats for later in the workout. Your back is one of those muscles where you need to hit the muscles from different angles for the entire back to develop. Personally, I would have scaled back on the number of exercises Dorian did. I would have taken out the deadlift. I would have taken out the hyperextensions. I'm only saying this from a position of extreme caution, from potential injury and overtraining from a drug-free athlete's perspective. Remember, Dorian had arguably the best back ever. I'm sure he was justified in doing this approach. I just think a natural, it's just too much. Workout 3, chest and biceps, 26 sets. The highest volume session of all the 4 workouts. For a natural athlete, this volume for the chest is overkill, especially at Dorian Yates level intensity. I would remove the dumbbell flies. From a safety standpoint, I think cable flies are safer, and they probably do the same thing. I'd probably cut down the pressing movements by 2/3. The only reason why I'm saying this is Dorian's definition of failure and beyond and the intensity he displays, his 1 set is equal to another man's 6 all-out sets. And I'm not trying to brag or make him feel better. It's just the truth. Take a look at the intensity. Biceps, I don't think that many sets are necessary for natural athletes. Remember, however, Dorian was hitting biceps only once per week, which may have been the reason for the high volume. Workout 4, legs, 19 sets. I really like the extensions as the starting exercise. I like that there was adequate warm-up for the knees. The leg extensions, you can go until failure and beyond if you can tolerate burning pain. The leg press, going to failure is near impossible. From a safety standpoint, I'm not doing it. I don't think Dorian Yates did it either. However, with his body thoroughly warmed up, hack squat, he did take until failure. I also think it was necessary with Dorian's strength to work up to heavier weights on the leg press. Going into an all-out set for, let's say, 10 to 12 reps on heavy leg press without a warm-up set is a shock to your body. Your legs are just not ready for that kind of load, and the warm-up sets are warranted. Overall, give this exact routine with the exact intensity that Dorian exhibited a try. Number 1, I don't think anyone could come anywhere close to the intensity that he demonstrated. That's a compliment to Dorian and a big reason why he's one of the best champions ever. Drop the intensity, going just until failure and cutting down on the volume. Remember, some of us have jobs, some of us have kids, some of us have aging bodies. This program could work for many. The real question though is, Just how much can your body tolerate, and more importantly, recover? Then most importantly, actually grow. The only way you're going to know this is to commit all out to trying it. I say this time and time again, people love to debate programs and look at the studies, which are all over the map. Very few people actually have the determination, the discipline, and the know-how to nail everything required to build a body beyond beginner gains. The only thing that works is a proper exercise plan, geared to your ability to adapt to that program, combined with proper nutrition, great recovery, minimization of stress. I don't like to argue with people about programs. Show me actual results and I'm going to listen. Theoretical debates, I don't have time for. Neither did Dorian. He just let his results on stage speak for themselves. Final point, he was the best at bringing efficiency of training to bodybuilding. That's huge, and for this reason, I thank Dorian Yates, and I really appreciate his contribution to this sport.